Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. My name is Patrick Martin with Lingaro. I'm a business development manager, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Ross Schalmo from General Electric. Ross is the Senior Director of Data and Analytics. Ross, it's very good to speak with you again.
Nice to speak with you too, Patrick.
Very good. Obviously you have an extremely impressive background. You've done a lot of things in I say a short matter of time because you're younger than me, but you have a lot of experience. How has your background and job experiences prepared you for the role that you currently have within General Electric?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough for the past 6 years to be in a data and analytics space. But interestingly, I'd say most of my past experiences didn't really position me for the role specifically. So prior to data, my roles focused on client and network security, then private cloud deployment. So, very heavy infrastructure background. Those roles allow me to learn and grow into various technology disciplines, as well as learning how to lead people. So I was fortunate enough to progress into being a manager during that time. But I found data to be just a largely different animal in many ways. In my experience, being a successful leader anywhere, regardless of background, means being humble enough to know that you won't know everything coming in. Being persistent and insistent on learning and empowering your people to guide you along the way is kind of what I found to be the most successful thing in coming up to speed. And like really empowering the team to guide you along the way. So the past 6 years within data have been just amazing for my personal and professional growth in general and with respect to data. Everyone's got to start somewhere. So really, I'd say it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a background in data to be successful in data. Really, a lot of those common leadership traits of just, again, being willing and persistent in learning, coming up to speed, that's the most valuable thing. Having said all that, again, I love everything about data. I couldn't have envisioned this being where I'd wind up in my career. I had always envisioned staying more technical, architecture focused, but getting a sense of leadership, getting into data and seeing how that can transform a business. I've just loved everything about it, both the technology as well as how you get an aspect of that business process and being able to change business through the power of data. It's been just an awesome, humbling experience for me.
Excellent. Yeah, you very enthusiastic about it, and that I'm sure your team appreciates that very, very much. Next question. It's generally acknowledged that the pace of change is very rapid in the data world. And a lot of times it requires working with external partners, whether those are software, technology, or service partners. How do you identify and develop relationships with these partners?
Yeah, I love using our example of our self-service program to answer this question. So back in 2016, we actually tried to start a self-service program and on a whim, and it failed spectacularly. So among the reasons is we were trying something because a vendor reached out to us, not because we really had a stated need. So it's innovative and we want to try something new. But we were really trying to force technology on folks that weren't exactly asking for it, maybe even ready for it. So both our approach and the vendor were really nascent in our maturity, and that didn't help things. So it failed, and we mothballed the idea. Fast forward to even just a year later, our data and analytics execution program that I was leading was really starting to get its footing. We'd grown from nothing into 8 global execution Scrum teams, and really started to realize at that point that we were not going to be able to scale as quickly as the appetite for data was growing in the business. So at that point, I turned to someone on my team, John Tudor, who's just a phenomenal individual, to look at self-service again and really challenged with the mindset of using a design thinking approach. So instead of just looking at tools and technologies, what we did was really survey the landscape, leverage Gartner just to see who all were players in the space, looked at about 70 different tools and companies, had conversations with about 35 of them, and then narrowed down to actually doing a simultaneous bake-off with 5 vendors at the same time for 7 sets of use cases. But the key was we actually had the business doing those POCs and bake-offs with us. So we had, out of 7 teams, 1 IT team working on a solution, 6 others from the business, because we were driving a self-service program. our thought was really like, we can select a tool, but wouldn't it be really cool if the business just told us what they were going to use, and then we just invested everything in doing that? It wound up in not selecting the cheapest technology by any stretch of the imagination. But we knew going into it, like the business already told us that they would use it and they would love to continue using it. So that mindset and that approach really also just got instant buy-in, because then there's this sense of ownership from getting into the business. And specifically, the vendor, I can't say enough about Data IQ specifically. They were really, truly, I know this is overused, they truly felt like partners. They understood, along with Elation, they understood how committed we were because of this process that we went through. And even during that pilot phase, they got to know our business process, our use cases, so they can kind of co-develop and see where we're trying to head. I don't know if that is a repeatable formula for success everywhere, because those companies, of course, have since grown tremendously because they're phenomenal companies, but they were younger in their maturity. We were just starting off. We almost got to grow up together. And I honestly view both of them as huge partners. Like, I never feel like I'm being sold something. It's truly, hey, how can we help? Hey, how can we talk to some of your clients as well and understand what they're doing, help with benchmarking? So from there, we've grown that program from nothingness into over 2,000 unique users in the business using our tools and platforms. Elation's evolved from being just a data catalog, which we brought it in for, into the backbone of our data governance program. Data IQ evolved from just being a self-service tool into our analytic invention platform. And it's really through that partnership and trust that we form with those, not just technologies, but the providers. Again, I can't say that it has expanded into every vendor relationship that we have, and not everyone needs it. But I feel like if you get lucky enough to catch a particular supplier, partner, vendor, call it what you will, at the right time, you really feel like it's an extension of your family and not someone trying to sell you something.